Have you ever trusted someone so deeply only to discover they were hiding a secret that could shatter your entire world? For Sophia, a successful interior designer and loving wife, her 35th birthday was supposed to be a celebration of love and partnership, but instead it became the day she uncovered a betrayal so devastating it changed everything. Her husband, Ethan, the man she thought she knew, had been living a double life with his young assistant, Lila. But instead of breaking down, Sophia did something unexpected. She turned her heartbreak into a master plan for revenge. This is the story of how one woman took back her power, piece by piece, and left her cheating husband and his mistress regretting every decision they ever made. Stay tuned, because this isn't just a story of betrayal, it's a story of justice. Sophia adjusted the candles on the dining table, her heart heavy with disappointment. It was her 35th birthday, and the table was set for two, complete with her favorite dishes and a bottle of wine she had been saving for a special occasion. But the seat across from her remained empty. Ethan, her husband of 10 years, had called earlier to say he was stuck at work. Again. She sighed, picking up her phone to scroll through social media, trying to distract herself. That's when she saw it. A notification from Ethan's tablet, which he had left on the kitchen counter. It was a message from Lila, his 28-year-old personal assistant. The preview read, "Can't wait for this weekend. It'll be perfect. Happy early birthday, babe." Sophia froze. Her heart raced as she unlocked the tablet, her hands trembling. The messages between Ethan and Lila painted a picture she couldn't ignore. They were planning a weekend getaway to a luxury resort on the same weekend as her birthday. The messages were filled with flirtatious emojis, inside jokes, and plans for a romantic escape. Ethan had told her he had a work conference that weekend. Her stomach churned, but instead of crying or throwing the tablet across the room, Sophia felt something else, clarity. She had suspected something for months. Ethan's late nights, his sudden interest in grooming, the way he always kept his phone face down. But now she had proof. And she wasn't going to confront him, not yet. Sophia poured herself a glass of wine and sat down at her laptop. She opened a blank document and typed the words, "Operation Justice." If Ethan thought he could betray her and get away with it, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. Sophia wasn't just a talented interior designer, she was also a meticulous planner. And this time, she wasn't designing a living room, she was designing the perfect revenge. Her plan wasn't about screaming or throwing his clothes out the window. That was too predictable. No, Sophia wanted something more. She wanted Ethan and Lila to feel the weight of their actions, to watch their carefully constructed lives crumble around them, and she wanted to do it with precision. As she sipped her wine, Sophia began to outline her plan. Step by step, she would dismantle their relationship, their careers, and their reputations. Ethan had no idea who he was dealing with. The next morning, Sophia woke up early, her mind still buzzing with the events of the previous night. Ethan was already gone, having left a note on the counter. "Early meeting, love you." She stared at the words, her lips curling into a bitter smile. Love? If this was love, she wanted no part of it. She sat down at her desk, opening her laptop to review the messages she had saved from Ethan's tablet. Every word, every emoji, every plan they had made together was now burned into her memory. But instead of letting the pain consume her, Sophia channeled it into focus. She opened her document titled Operation Justice and began to map out her strategy. The first step was to confirm her suspicions. She needed more than just the messages. She needed undeniable proof. Sophia called her best friend Mia, a private investigator she had worked with on a few design projects for high-profile clients. Mia was sharp, discreet, and, most importantly, loyal. "Mia, I need your help," Sophia said, her voice steady but firm. "It's Ethan. He's having an affair with his assistant." There was a pause on the other end of the line before Mia replied. "I'm on it. Send me everything you have so far." Sophia forwarded the screenshots of the messages and the details of the resort Ethan and Lila were planning to visit. Within hours, Mia had booked a room at the same resort for the same weekend. "I'll get you what you need," Mia promised. While Mia worked on gathering evidence, Sophia turned her attention to the next phase of her plan, dismantling Lila's career. She remembered a conversation she'd had with Ethan months ago about Lila's ambitions. Lila had been angling for a promotion to project manager, a position that would put her in charge of several high-profile accounts. Ethan had even mentioned how he was mentoring her to help her get there. Sophia smirked. "Mentoring, huh?" She opened LinkedIn and began researching Lila's professional background. It didn't take long to find a few red flags: missed deadlines, incomplete projects, and a reputation for being more charming than competent. Sophia made a note to dig deeper. Next, she called her friend Rachel, who worked in HR at Ethan's company. "Hypothetically," Sophia began, "if someone were to submit an anonymous complaint about an employee's inappropriate relationship with their boss, how would that be handled?" Rachel laughed. "Hypothetically, it would trigger an internal investigation. Why? Do you know something juicy?" Sophia smiled. "Let's just say I might have some information to share soon." By the end of the day, Sophia had a clear plan. She would let Mia gather the evidence she needed to confront Ethan and Lila, but she wouldn't stop there. She would also ensure that Lila's professional ambitions came crashing down. And as for Ethan, he would learn that betraying her wasn't just a mistake, it was the worst decision of his life. That evening, Ethan came home, his usual confident demeanor slightly off. "Long day?" Sophia asked, her tone light and casual. "Yeah," he replied, avoiding her gaze. "Lots of meetings." Sophia nodded, hiding her smirk. "Well, I hope you're not working too hard. You've been so busy lately." Ethan hesitated, then kissed her on the cheek. "You know how it is." "Oh, I do," Sophia said, her voice sweet but laced with meaning. "I know exactly how it is." As Ethan disappeared into the shower, Sophia opened her laptop and reviewed her notes. She had always been a meticulous planner, and this time was no different. Every step of her plan was falling into place. Ethan and Lila thought they were clever, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. Sophia glanced at the calendar on her phone. Her birthday weekend was just a few days away. By the time it was over, Ethan and Lila's lives would never be the same. Sophia's first move was subtle but effective. She knew that the best way to unravel Ethan and Lila's relationship was to plant seeds of doubt and paranoia. If they started to question each other, their bond would weaken, and their carefully hidden affair would begin to crack under pressure. The next morning, Sophia created a new email account under an anonymous name. She composed a short, cryptic message and sent it to Ethan's work email. "Be careful. Not everything stays a secret forever." She smiled as she hit send, imagining the look on his face when he read it. Ethan prided himself on being in control, but Sophia knew that control was an illusion. All it took was a little push to make him spiral. Later that day, she sent a similar message to Lila's personal email. "You're not as invisible as you think. Watch your back." Sophia didn't need to wait long to see the effects. That evening, Ethan came home looking distracted. He barely touched his dinner, his eyes darting to his phone every few minutes. Sophia pretended not to notice, keeping the conversation light and cheerful. "Everything okay?" she asked innocently as she cleared the dishes. Just work stuff," Ethan muttered, his tone clipped. Sophia nodded, hiding her satisfaction. "Good. Let him stew." Meanwhile, Lila's reaction was just as predictable. Sophia had been keeping an eye on her social media accounts, and by the next morning, Lila's usual stream of selfies and motivational quotes had slowed to a trickle. The few posts she did share were vague and melancholic, with captions like, "Sometimes, life throws unexpected challenges your way." Sophia smirked. "Oh, honey, you have no idea what's coming." But she wasn't done yet. The next step was to create a sense of unease between Ethan and Lila directly. Sophia knew that Lila often posted photos of her morning coffee runs on Instagram, tagging the same trendy cafe near their office. so Sophia decided to pay the cafe a visit. She ordered a latte and sat by the window, waiting. Sure enough, Lila walked in a few minutes later, her phone in hand. Sophia made sure to catch her eye as she stood up to leave. "Lila, right?" Sophia said, her tone friendly but firm. Lila froze, her smile faltering. Yes, and you are?" "Sophia," she replied, extending her hand. "Ethan's wife." The color drained from Lila's face. "Oh, hi. I've heard so much about you," she stammered, clearly caught off guard. "I'm sure you have," Sophia said, her smile never wavering. "It's nice to finally meet you. Ethan talks about you all the time." Lila's eyes widened and she fumbled for a response. "Oh, well, he's a great boss. Very professional." "Of course," Sophia said, her tone dripping with sweetness. "Anyway, I won't keep you. Enjoy your coffee." As Sophia walked out of the cafe, she glanced back to see Lila staring after her, her face pale and her hands shaking. "Let her wonder what I know," Sophia thought. That evening, Ethan was even more on edge. He kept glancing at his phone, typing out messages and then deleting them. Sophia pretended not to notice, but she could feel the tension radiating off him. "Is everything okay at work?" she asked casually as they sat on the couch. "Yeah, just busy," Ethan replied, his voice tight. Sophia nodded, hiding her smirk. "Busy trying to keep your lie straight, no doubt." By the end of the night, Sophia could see the cracks beginning to form. Ethan was distracted, Lila was nervous, and the trust between them was starting to erode. It was exactly what Sophia had planned. As she lay in bed that night, listening to Ethan's restless breathing beside her, Sophia opened her laptop and updated her document. Phase 1 was complete. The seeds of doubt had been planted, and now it was time to move on to the next stage of her plan. Sophia knew that the next step in her plan required precision. It wasn't enough to make Lila feel uneasy. She needed to dismantle her professional life entirely. Lila had built her career on charm and manipulation, but Sophia was about to expose the cracks in her facade. The first thing Sophia did was dig deeper into Lila's work history. She reached out to Rachel, her friend in HR at Ethan's company, under the guise of casual conversation. Over coffee, Sophia steered the topic toward workplace gossip. "Oh, how's everything at the office?" Sophia asked, sipping her latte. "I hear Ethan's been mentoring someone for a big promotion." Rachel rolled her eyes. "Oh, you mean Lila? She's been gunning for the project manager position. Honestly, I don't know how she's even in the running. She's charming, sure, but her work is sloppy. I've had to clean up her messes more than once." Sophia leaned in, feigning curiosity. "Really? Like what?" Rachel hesitated, then lowered her voice. "Missed deadlines, incomplete reports, and she's always passing the blame onto someone else. But Ethan seems to have a soft spot for her, so no one's called her out on it." Sophia filed this information away, her mind already racing with ideas. "Interesting," she said, keeping her tone neutral. "Well, I'm sure the best person will get the job." Later that evening, Sophia put her plan into action. She created another anonymous email account and drafted a message to the company's leadership team. The email outlined several instances of Lila's unprofessional behavior, complete with specific examples that Rachel had unknowingly provided. Sophia also attached screenshots of Lila's social media posts, which often showed her partying late into the night before important meetings. The email read, "To whom it may concern, I am writing to bring to your attention some concerns regarding Lila, last name, who is currently being considered for a promotion to project manager. While I understand that promotions are based on merit, I believe it's important to highlight certain patterns of behavior that may not align with the company's values. Attached, you will find evidence of missed deadlines, incomplete projects, and unprofessional conduct. I trust that the leadership team will take this information into account when making their decision. Sincerely, A concerned employee. Sophia hit send and leaned back in her chair, satisfied. She knew the email would trigger an internal investigation, and Lila's chances of getting the promotion would be slim to none. But Sophia wasn't done yet. She wanted to ensure that Lila felt the full weight of her actions. The next day, she called Mia, her private investigator friend, to check on the progress of the resort surveillance. Feel invigorated. "Mia, any updates?" Sophia asked. "Oh, plenty," Mia replied with a chuckle. "I've got photos of them holding hands, kissing, and even checking into the same room. It's all time-stamped and ready to go." "Perfect," Sophia said. "Send me everything." With the evidence in hand, Sophia crafted another email, this time addressed to the company's compliance department. The email included the photos of Ethan and Lila at the resort, along with a note. "It has come to my attention that there may be an inappropriate relationship between a senior executive and his assistant. This raises concerns about favoritism and potential misuse of company resources. I trust that the compliance team will handle this matter discreetly and thoroughly." Sophia knew that this email would not only put Lila under scrutiny, but also drag Ethan into the spotlight. She wanted them both to feel the consequences of their actions, both personally and professionally. A few days later, the fallout began. Lila was called into a meeting with HR and the leadership team to address the anonymous complaints. According to Rachel, the meeting didn't go well. "She was a mess," Rachel told Sophia over the phone. "She tried to deny everything, but the evidence was too strong. They've put her promotion on hold indefinitely, and she's on thin ice now." Sophia smiled, her satisfaction growing. "Well, I'm sure they'll figure out what's best for the company." As for Ethan, he came home that evening looking more stressed than ever. He barely spoke during dinner, his mind clearly elsewhere. Sophia pretended to be concerned. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice soft and caring. "Just work stuff," Ethan muttered, rubbing his temples. "There's some issues with HR, nothing to worry about." Sophia nodded, hiding her smirk. "Oh, Ethan, you have no idea how much you should be worrying." By the end of the week, Lila's reputation at the company was in shambles. Her colleagues began to distance themselves, and whispers of her unprofessional behavior spread like wildfire. Ethan, meanwhile, was under increasing pressure as the compliance team began to investigate his expense reports and travel history. Sophia watched it all unfold with quiet satisfaction. Phase 2 was complete. Lila's career was in ruins, and Ethan's carefully constructed image was starting to crumble. But the best was yet to come. Sophia had been waiting for this moment. The final phase of her plan was about to unfold, and she had orchestrated every detail to perfection. It was her birthday weekend, the same weekend Ethan had planned his romantic getaway with Lila. But instead of a quiet celebration or a confrontation at home, Sophia had something far more dramatic in mind. She arranged a dinner reservation at Ethan's favorite upscale restaurant, the same place they had celebrated their anniversaries in the past. She told Ethan it was a surprise birthday dinner for just the two of them. What Ethan didn't know was that Sophia had also invited Lila, without telling either of them. The evening began like any other. Ethan arrived at the restaurant, looking slightly uneasy but trying to mask it with a smile. Sophia greeted him warmly, dressed in a stunning red dress that made her look every bit the confident, composed woman she was. "You look amazing," Ethan said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. "Thank you," Sophia replied, her tone sweet but with an edge of mystery. "I wanted tonight to be special." As they were seated, Sophia kept the conversation light, asking about his day and pretending not to notice his occasional glances at his phone. She could tell he was distracted, likely wondering why Lila hadn't responded to his messages all day. Halfway through their appetizers, the maitre d' approached their table. "Excuse me, Mrs. Carter," he said, addressing Sophia. "Your other guest has arrived." Ethan froze, his fork halfway to his mouth. "Other guest?" he asked, his voice tight. Sophia smiled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Oh, yes. I thought it would be nice to invite someone else to join us tonight. You don't mind, do you?" Before Ethan could respond, Lila appeared, looking confused and out of place. She was dressed in a simple black dress, clearly not expecting to see Sophia, or Ethan for that matter. "Elisa!" Sophia exclaimed, standing up to greet her. "I'm so glad you could make it. Please, have a seat." Leela's eyes darted between Sophia and Ethan, her face pale. I didn't realize." "Don't be shy," Sophia said, gesturing to the empty chair. "We're all friends here, aren't we?" Ethan's face was a mix of panic and anger, but he said nothing as Lila reluctantly sat down. The tension at the table was palpable, and Sophia reveled in it. Once the waiter had taken Lila's drink order and left, Sophia leaned back in her chair, her expression calm and composed. "So," she began, her voice steady, "I thought tonight would be the perfect time to clear the air." "Clear the air?" Ethan asked, his voice strained. "Yes," Sophia said, turning her gaze to Lila. "You see, I've known about your little arrangement for quite some time now." Lila's eyes widened, and Ethan's face turned red. "Sophia, I can explain," he began, but she held up a hand to silence him. "Please, Ethan," she said, her tone sharp. "You've had plenty of time to explain. Now it's my turn to talk." Sophia reached into her purse and pulled out a folder. She placed it on the table and slid it toward Ethan. "Inside, you'll find everything I've gathered over the past few weeks. Text messages, photos, expense reports. Oh, and a lovely little email I sent to your company's compliance department. You might want to prepare for some questions at work on Monday." Ethan stared at the folder, his hands trembling. "Sophia, this isn't what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like," Sophia interrupted, her voice cold. "You lied to me, you betrayed me, and you thought I wouldn't find out?" She turned to Lila, who looked like she wanted to disappear. "And you," Sophia said, her tone dripping with disdain, "did you really think you could build a career by sleeping with your boss? How's that promotion working out for you?" Lila opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. Sophia leaned forward, her eyes blazing. "You both deserve each other, but let me make one thing clear. I'm done. Ethan, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. And Lila, I hope you enjoy the reputation you've earned. It's going to follow you for a long time." With that, Sophia stood up, grabbing her purse. She looked at Ethan one last time, her expression a mix of anger and triumph. "Happy birthday to me," she said, her voice steady. As she walked out of the restaurant, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. For the first time in weeks, she felt free. Ethan and Lila could deal with the mess they had created. Sophia had her life back, and she wasn't looking back. Sophia walked out of the restaurant with her head held high, the cool evening air brushing against her skin. She felt a strange mix of emotions: relief, satisfaction, and a bittersweet sense of closure. The weight of Ethan's betrayal no longer sat heavy on her chest. She had taken control of the situation, and now it was time to move forward. The fallout from that night was swift and brutal. Ethan tried calling her multiple times, leaving voicemails filled with apologies and excuses. Sophia didn't bother listening to most of them. She had already contacted her lawyer, who assured her that the prenuptial agreement they had signed years ago would work in her favor. Ethan would lose a significant portion of his assets, and Sophia would walk away with her financial independence intact. At work, Ethan's life began to unravel. The compliance department launched a full investigation into his expense reports and his inappropriate relationship with Lila. It didn't take long for the company to uncover the truth. Ethan was forced to resign to avoid public scandal, and his once promising career in the tech industry was effectively over. As for Lila, the damage to her reputation was irreparable. Word of her affair with Ethan spread throughout the company, and she became the subject of office gossip. Her promotion was officially revoked, and she eventually quit her job, unable to face the judgmental stares of her colleagues. Sophia heard through the grapevine that Lila had moved back to her hometown, her career in shambles. But Sophia didn't waste time dwelling on their downfall. Instead, she focused on rebuilding her own life. She threw herself into her work, landing a major design project with a high-profile client that would elevate her career to new heights. She also reconnected with friends and family, surrounding herself with people who truly cared about her. One evening, as she sat in her newly redecorated living room, sipping a glass of wine, Sophia received a text from her best friend, Mia. "You're amazing. You handled this like a queen. Proud of you." Sophia smiled, feeling a warmth she hadn't felt in months. She replied, "Thank you. I finally feel like myself again. Onward and upward." The story ends with Sophia standing in her new office, overlooking the city skyline. She's confident, empowered, and ready to embrace the next chapter of her life. Ethan and Lila were just a painful lesson, a reminder of her strength and resilience. Sometimes, life throws you challenges to remind you of your worth. And Sophia had proven, without a doubt, that she was worth so much more than what she had been given.